Since the start of the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine until April, the Russian army destroyed up to 90% of the buildings and all critical infrastructure in Mariupol. According to the advisor to the mayor of the city, residents of high-rise buildings are likely to be left without heat in winter season. The situation is the same in private houses. In most of them, electric heating was installed, but there is no electricity supply in most parts of the city. There will be no heat in Mariupol. This is a logical question. We have been talking about this since May. The water heating facilities are all broken. In fact, that is happening. On the one hand, an illusion of some kind of restoration is created. Heating radiators are being changed. Radiators in apartments are even changed in burnt-out houses. Why this is done is not completely clear. If you take realities, if you take even the brought-in mobile boilers, or more precisely, only announced 100 boilers, according to our information. Today they have been only up to 10 mobile boilers in Mariupol. Even if you take the word of the occupation authorities, based on what they announced and what they, for example, will finish doing, then no less than 40% of residents who stay in the city will have no access to heat supply. Most of the houses that survived the shelling by the Russian army are still windowless, and it is almost impossible to restore an apartment under the conditions of occupation, say those who got out of the destroyed Mariupol. The majority of my viewers imagine a bombed-out city, but there are about 200,000 people left in this bombed-out city, and just to replace the windows there, it's a huge quest. Even if you have money, it is not so easy to do that, and winter is coming. The nights are already cold. This is why Mariupol residents who cannot do it at their own expense, those who do not want to spend their time in the cold winter, looking at the Russian invaders and the construction of 3, 4, 9-story buildings, as they later show in propaganda videos, want to leave. But the Russian occupiers have now made it harder that even to leave the city, not only for men, but also for all people who want to leave the temporarily occupied territory. There is only one working hospital left in Mariupol. Out of 60 schools, only 5 are functioning, according to the Ukrainian authorities. Children study there in 3 shifts, and the rest are said to study remotely, despite the fact that there is no internet in Mariupol. In the meantime, as it was stated in the so-called Russian reconstruction plan, the occupiers promised to restore the housings, generate workplaces, and preserve natural resources. Propagandists are recording videos about how they are rebuilding houses, bridges and roads. They have even announced plans about restoration of the destroyed drama theater. It is the same theater which was shelled by the Russian aviation and where more than 300 people died as a result. However, the building was simply covered with a banner and the city still lies in ruins. What the Russian occupying authorities are doing is like patching on a large highway, which is completely destroyed. There has been a renewal of the water supply and about the same ratio of electricity supply to almost half of the people who are now in the city. And then they reached points of the critical impossibility of resuming infrastructure operation. That is, we are talking about the fact that you can patch up to a certain level and then you need to build. But the reconstruction sites, in fact, do not proceed. Therefore, the more users try to put on a pipe with water supply or on existing but not fully working electrical networks, of course failures, shutdowns and regression naturally begin. The peak of the humanitarian crisis in Mariupol has passed. The shops have now basic food, water and sometimes even clothes. But most Mariupol residents do not have money to buy essential goods. We need to call a spade a spade. The shops are open and there is food in them. I will not talk about the famine that was in March and April, when the people are evacuated now tell me their stories of how they just walked to the city center, to the so-called man of the Ministry of Russia for Civil Defense, or of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, for at least a little food, because they could die from the fact that they didn't have anything to eat, as it was in March, when they melted the snow to have at least a little water. Now, when there is food, there is water, and there are not so many opportunities to earn money. The Russian invaders offer a job at a low-wage utility company, or one of the most frequently mentioned jobs is raking rubble. In addition, the Russian occupying authorities continue illegal mobilization in Mariupol. Men receive summons and messages with calls to join the army of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic. Reported by Pavel Steinmach, Larisa Zubenko, UATV News.